Hello, my name is Ross Miller. For those who don't know me, I'm a lecturer at the Health Services Management Centre, and I am one of the talking heads hosted by HSMC Library to talk to you about an aspect of study skills. And the aspect that I would like to talk to you about is critical thinking. As with lots of concepts and ideas within academia and so forth, there will be different ways of defining, conceptualizing what critical thinking is. And that might depend on your background, your discipline, and just sort of, your experience. So I think for me, and I suppose working within the social sciences, I see critical thinking as challenging or exposing a dominant viewpoint or dominant idea to different interpretations, different ways of thinking about a particular issue, a particular concept, or a particular practice, the way things are done. I think for social scientists like us all, I think that's when we think about critical thinking, those are the types of things that we would associate with that. So for me, one of the key aspects of critical thinking, and something that I've got a personal interest in, is the idea of framing. Framing's got its origins in sociology, and that is essentially seeking to expose particular ideas, particular issues to different frames. So this may be the idea of reframing things that we hold sort of as conventional wisdom, things that we do, the dominant ideas. Let's try and reframe them and expose them to different ways of thinking. And that's certainly something that when I think about critical thinking, I think about framing and the idea of reframing dominant ideas, issues, and exposing them to different viewpoints. So I am one of the module coordinators for health and healthcare policy at HSMC. And a key aspect of health and healthcare policy is it draws on different models and frameworks that emanate from public policy. And that tradition really talks directly to these ideas of critical thinking in terms of exposing dominant ideas, dominant ways of thinking about what policy is, what healthcare policy is, and seeking to make sense of them in different ways. Think about policy from different viewpoints. So I think that, the idea of policy analysis and tradition of drawing on different models and frameworks is a key skill in critical thinking. So when we think about policy, maybe a policy is making claims about improving quality, making claims about improving patient experience. We think about it through the lens of policy analysis, and also particularly critical thinking. We might start to ask questions about, well, one, do these claims that are made by policy, do they add up? So are they supported by evidence? Are their views supported by different stakeholders? So those delivering services, those receiving services. So critical thinking in relation to policy is about exposing the dominant claims within a policy document, for example, or what the Secretary of State for Health might say about a particular policy, and exposing them to different viewpoints, different lines of inquiry. And I think that last point about exposing to different lines of inquiry and different viewpoints sort of illustrates how the idea of critical thinking would connect to different parts of study skills. So exposing, a policy to different viewpoints would most probably and hopefully link to what is the evidence surrounding this particular area of interest. Is the evidence supporting this particular policy? Is the evidence suggest that this policy works in practice? So the ideas around critical thinking will connect with gathering evidence, will connect to reviewing evidence, and we'll probably connect to ideas about argument, about writing, and about communicating your points, communicating those different perspectives. So critical thinking is one part of the bigger picture, but for me I think it's the key aspect and a key skill that if you can demonstrate critical thinking, you're most likely going to get good marks and will be successful.